Yeah, thanks again for being here today and excited to get started. So I wanted to start with who is this training for? Um, so it's for individuals who want to prevent a heart attack. Oh, I still hear voices. I think that worked. Yeah, so it's for individuals who want to prevent a heart attack. For individuals who want to live a life without the constant fear and worry for your heart health. If you want to learn what to eat to prevent a heart attack without restricting the foods you love, then you're in the right place. And if you are ready to start making a heart healthy eating tasty and easy to execute, that's what I'm here to teach you because I do believe that that is important. Sorry, I'm just getting a message. Allow participants to unmute themselves. Yes. So you all are muted, but you have the opportunity to unmute yourself if you do have questions. And it is a very informal conversation today, so feel free to unmute yourself, or like I said, put anything you want in the chat. There will be some time at the end for questions and answers. What else? Who is this training for? For individuals who are looking to optimize their nutrition for heart health in the fastest way possible. And I think that is important because as an expert, I can get you to where you want to be faster than if you were to do this on your own. So if that's a goal of yours, you are in the right place. And then I wanted to present a slide that if the training is not for these individuals. So if you don't want to prevent a heart attack, this information may not be for you. If you're happy to continue to restrict the foods that you love, then this conversation may not be for you. And that's because, again, my food philosophy is abundance, is eating foods that you enjoy and including more foods for nourishment instead of focusing on restriction. If you're happy to let heart health dictate your life, then maybe this training is not for you because I want you to become independent and I want you to be able to have a life that doesn't revolve around making sure all of your decisions are benefiting your heart, because you will be set up with lifestyle and habits that will enhance your heart health automatically. If you are already making tasty, heart healthy meals most nights of the week, this training may not be for you. And if you already know what to eat to optimize your nutrition for heart health, I may not be able to provide you with any more information than what we're getting today. So I hope that's clear what this training is all about. And my bold promise to you is by the end of this class, you will have the exact steps you need to eat to prevent a heart attack without restricting the foods you love. So I want you to shut off distractions if you can. I know webinars and the virtual world, we can multitask, but sometimes we don't get as much impact as we can if we are multitasking. So if you can shut off your phone, turn off any distractions, maybe even get a piece of paper and a pen out, can be helpful too, just to create an environment that you can help you focus and get the information you need. So today's outline, 3 simple steps. We will be talking about the one thing you need to do to prevent a heart attack. I will discuss 3 mistakes that I commonly see in my practice and what to do instead, and then present you with a plan about how you can prevent a heart attack without restricting the foods you love. And if you stay to the end, I do have a free gift to present to you, which I've teased you a bit here with a meal plan, but I'll present it more at the end. So feel free to stick around to reveal that. So who am I? I am Veronica. I am a registered dietitian in Canada. I have a master's of applied nutrition at the University of Guelph. I have an undergrad in nutrition as well as kinesiology. And I have over 13 years of experience working with individuals to prevent a heart attack. So, individuals who are living with heart disease. And I've successfully helped individuals lower their blood pressure, lower their cholesterol and their blood sugar and their weight through nutrition. And that's what I'm here to present you with some of the strategies that I do use with them daily. On a personal note, I am a mom of two boys. I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old that keep me very, very busy, but also keeps life interesting. So that's nice. And I am from Canada. I love hockey, and my favorite hockey team is the Toronto Maple Leafs, which is kind of a polarizing view if you're from Canada too. Okay, so let's take a minute and imagine with me, if you can, for a moment, what would life be like if you could wake up with the energy, with energy to start your day? What would life be like if you didn't waste your time meal planning, avoiding frustration, and what you should eat for optimal nutrition? And what would life be like being able to enjoy your visits with your loved ones without having to worry about your heart health? And these are the hopes and dreams of my clients that I see all the time. And I do hope to provide you with these goals by using the nutrition strategies. So the first thing I'm going to talk about right off the bat is the one thing you need to do to be successful to prevent a heart attack, and it's to eat more foods from plants. Okay, so plant foods are things like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, seeds, olive oil, healthy fats, avocados. Lots of foods come from plants. And if we can eat more plants, that will get you closer to your goal of preventing a heart attack by eating the foods you love. So, why plant foods? Well, plant foods are the main component of the Mediterranean diet. And you may have heard about this eating pattern before. It's an eating pattern that has been well studied with heart disease. So many, many years of research to say that eating the Mediterranean way can prevent heart disease from occurring, can reduce your heart disease risk. So reduce cholesterol, reduce blood pressure, reduce your weight. But it can also prevent a second cardiac event. So if you've already had a heart attack or you've had some kind of cardiac event, a stent placement perhaps, then it can prevent that from happening again. And that's why the Mediterranean diet or Mediterranean eating pattern is one of the eating patterns that I do promote and follow. One of a few, but the Mediterranean diet is one of them. And plant foods make up the majority of this Mediterranean diet. Plant foods naturally help lower cholesterol, blood pressure, and inflammation. And that's because they're full of nutrients like some heart healthy minerals. We have potassium in there, magnesium, calcium, as well as soluble fiber, and lots of vitamins and minerals and antioxidants to help to reduce the inflammation. Plant foods can also provide optimal nutrition because they're naturally low in the things we want to restrict. So things like sodium, they're naturally low in it. So we don't have to restrict sodium if we're including more plant foods in our diet. They're naturally low in sugars we are already uh, if we are including them in our diet. We don't have to restrict sugars because the majority of our food is coming from plants, and generally low in sugar. Also low in saturated fat, and all plant foods don't have any dietary cholesterol, right? Cholesterol is made in our liver, made in animal livers. So if it's not an animal, then it doesn't have cholesterol. And plant foods keep us full longer. So it helps with weight management. That fiber in them helps with satiety, keeping us full longer. And it's sustainable. So plant foods, we can focus on including plant foods. We're focusing on abundance. instead of elimination or restriction. And in research that does show that you stick with your diet or your eating pattern uh, for a longer period of time than if we focus on dieting or restriction. But focusing on plant foods doesn't mean that you have to go vegan. And I know that may be a concern for a lot of people. I hear that a lot. People say, Veronica, but what if I love meat? Or Veronica, plant foods are boring. Oh, Veronica, plant foods are bland. They don't taste like anything. Or perhaps they don't offer protein, which we'll get to in a little bit. But that doesn't mean that plant foods will make up the like all of your diet. It just, if you can focus on adding more plants and adding more of these heart healthy nutrients by eating more plants, will set you up for success. So no, you don't have to go vegan. And so how then do you focus on eating more plants? Well, I suggest focusing on one thing, and that's focusing on your snack. So remember, the transition to eating more plant-based foods doesn't have to be abrupt, right? You don't have to go from 0 to 100. Start with one thing, and starting small with snacks, I think, can be uh, something that a lot of people can easily incorporate, and it can make a big difference. That's mainly because snack foods are processed foods, and they are the ones that are high in salt, high in sugar, high in saturated fat. So if we can kind of replace these foods with foods from plants, then we can make this a more impactful choice of adding these heart healthy nutrients to our eating pattern and make it more sustainable when we do so on a, tweak little things here and there, more small gradual changes make more of a lasting sustainable impact. So snacks, so we want to try to have things like fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds are great too, like pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds. Those are awesome replacements for processed snacks. So if you're looking for something sugary like cookies perhaps after dinner, maybe go for fruit salad. That would be a great replacement, or some nice fresh fruit. Apples right now are great in season. If you're more of a salty, crunchy individual craving that type of food like pretzels and chips, let's try for those nuts and seeds perhaps, as well as popcorn, whole grain alternative. And then maybe substituting something like cheese and crackers you could do crackers and guacamole. You could do tortilla, chips with guacamole as well, or even hummus. So there's alternatives that are similar, but focusing again on adding some more of these plant foods. So just take a moment now to think if there's something maybe yesterday that you had, a snack food, and what's a nice replacement that maybe you could try for today, or perhaps add it to your grocery list for next week. So that was the one big thing that you can do to help prevent a heart attack by eating the foods you love, because plant foods can be tasty and filling as well. So let's get into these mistakes. I promised you 3 mistakes and some solutions to those mistakes. So what is the first mistake that I often see is focusing on reducing your sodium intake. And, let me know in the chat if you've, heard of this before, if physicians have told you, or maybe family members have told you to cut out the salts. I do hear this frequently, and I think this is a mistake. It doesn't work because individuals who are trying to eat heart healthy, individuals who maybe at this presentation today are people who are motivated, who want to do something and are doing things for their heart health. And these individuals are already eating less processed foods and more whole foods. And these whole foods are naturally low in sodium. So there's no need to actually restrict sodium further when we're already eating a low sodium diet. In fact, too little sodium can increase our heart disease risk. So too little and too much is not good. We want to be somewhere in the middle. But restriction is not what we want to focus on. And I think, switching from restriction to abundance, so eating more whole foods, can be a better strategy, a more effective strategy. And you don't get into the eating too little amount of sodium as well. I don't know if you know this, but when we look at where our sodium is coming from in our diet, only about 5 to 10% is coming from the salt shaker itself. So it's not necessarily the salt shaker we want to restrict, but the majority of our sodium is actually coming from processed foods, restaurant meals, things like pizza, cheese, maybe some of our bread products. So those are the foods we want to be maybe choosing healthier options for, and then your sodium will be in that optimal range that we are looking for. So instead of cutting out salts, the way to prevent a heart attack is to add more foods from plants and actually continue to use the salt shaker. Because the salt shaker adds flavor to food, it brings out the natural flavors of some of those fruits and vegetables and plant foods that may be a little bit bland, but adding some salt can actually make it tastier, make you want to eat more of it. And in fact, it still will be less than eating mainly processed foods. So that is my first mistake that I wanted to share. My next one is waiting too long to eat. So that's something to think about. Even take yesterday as an example. What was your timing of meals? If you have that paper and pen that I had suggested at the beginning, write it down. What does your meals and snacks look like? And do you feel like you maybe wait too long to eat? This is a common mistake I see from clients and individuals that I work with in my Heart Health Academy. They have, been told to lose weight. And in order to lose weight, we automatically think of restriction or eating less often. So if we eat less often, then we're waiting too long to eat. And we don't have the opportunities to provide our body with those heart healthy nutrients that will actually help support our blood vessel health and our heart health. So it doesn't work because eating at regular times actually helps us make sure that we have enough energy to do everything we need to do during the day. If we wait too long to eat, we have less energy. It may impact our mood. We may be more grumpy. We may make poor choices when we do eat because we are at the point of starvation at that time and we just want to eat whatever's in front of us, right? If we wait too long to eat or wait too long in between meals, you'll be more likely to have cravings. So our body's response, I guess we should start with our body needs energy to function, right? All of our organs need energy in the form of sugar to function, even our brain. So if we're not eating, then we're not supplying our body with energy or sugar. And our organs need that to function. So if our organs don't have it and need it, then they send signals to our body to say, hey, ask this person to feed me. And the easiest way for our body to do that is to increase our cravings for sweet things, because sweet equals sugar, which equals quick energy. And so that's maybe if you're experiencing that craving for sweet things, then perhaps you may be waiting too long to eat in between meals. If you continue to do it, wait too long, you will feel tired, you'll have those increased sugar cravings, and then you have less opportunity to eat these nutrients that we need to eat every day in order to make our blood vessels strong and healthy. I mentioned some of the nutrients at the beginning, so potassium, magnesium, calcium, soluble fiber, those are extremely important to get enough every day. And in order to get enough every day, we do need to be eating frequently in order to supply our body with those nutrients. So my question to you is, how many times are you eating during the day? And how are you going to make that first step to eating regular meals? And I guess that depends on what you're doing now. So if you're eating one meal a day, perhaps you increase it to two. If you're eating 3 meals a day and you think that you don't have any cravings and your energy is great, then perhaps this isn't a mistake that you're making. That's something to consider. And then the last mistake is cutting out animal protein without replacing it from protein from plants. Okay. So a lot of members of my Heart Health Academy come in restricting their animal intake, right? That's what we're told. Red meat, no red meat. And animal protein is usually high in saturated fat. So we do need to watch how much saturated fat we're having. But if we're going to restrict our animal meat, we still need protein, right? So protein is extremely important for muscle growth. And if we don't provide it through food, our body is going to look elsewhere for that protein, those building blocks for muscles or other functions in our body. And if we don't supply it through food, they're looking elsewhere. Guess where they look? Our muscles, right? Our muscles are full of protein. So they start breaking down our muscles in order to supply our body with these protein building blocks that we're not giving it through food. So important to make sure that we're still supplying our body with the protein we need, even if it's not through animals. Okay. So it doesn't work because we still need protein, right? Our body needs protein to function. It can lead to muscle loss. As we age, our muscles are kind of degrading as is. So we actually need more protein as we age. So cutting out protein defeats that purpose. And protein is very satiating. If we don't eat protein, then we are likely to be hungrier earlier. Perhaps we would overeat, which could lead to weight gain as well. So that's why it doesn't work. So what can you do instead? Well, let's stock up your cupboard. Lots of plant-based proteins are inexpensive, they're shelf-stable, so stock your protein with lots and lots of these wonderful plant-based alternatives. So this is exactly what I'll go through in the Heart Health Academy. If you do join, I have lots and lots of recipes about all of these plant proteins because it's something that we're not familiar with cooking. And we want to, the recipes I do provide are quick, they're affordable, and they're versatile. So a lot of individuals say even like their children like it, which I think is the best compliment that I can get, because if kids and toddlers like it, then usually the majority of my clients like it as well. So lentils are great in soups, salads. I even add lentils to my oatmeal in the mornings for some added protein. Chickpeas are such a great crunchy snack. So if you're that one that likes like the chips and pretzels, roasted chickpeas are a really great alternative. Also hummus, I think I mentioned too, as a dip could be a great alternative. Quinoa is a type of grain that is a source of protein. So that's an easy switch. That could provide you with a little bit more protein. Black beans are probably one of my favorite legumes, and I use them in things like burritos or quesadillas. Tofu, edamame, tempeh are all soy-based products, and soy is beneficial. It's full of antioxidants and can help prevent a heart attack. And then nuts and nut butters are not only high, rich in this protein, but also this heart healthy fat that we know can also help us prevent a heart attack. So we talked about the one thing you need to do, eat more plants, talked about the 3 mistakes, and now what's the plan? And the plan is my tested framework. So I call it the 3 M's: mastery, mindfulness, and monitoring, because all 3 things are important to eat these foods and maintain a heart healthy diet. So let's dig in. So what is mastery? Mastery is Nutrition advice based on guidelines and reliable scientific research. This is why I started my own private practice, because after hearing over and over again from my clients about these crazy nutrition guidelines they read on the internet, I knew that there needed to be a reliable source of evidence-based information for individuals who are experiencing this, health event. So really, really important to make sure whatever you are reading is based on evidence, because if not, you're trying new things that may not be effective. So mastery, very, very important to help separate fact from personal testimonials, because sometimes it works for one person but may not work for everybody, and cut through the confusion or the frustration of misleading information, but also conflicting information. And I'm sure you've read some conflicting information on Google, because I know I have lots of it out there. So how does it help? Well, mastery helps to provide individuals with accurate information. So when you have accurate information and you implement it, it will actually help you get to your goals faster. You're only implementing successful strategies instead of strategies that may or may not work, or may not work based on your genetics or lifestyle, perhaps. And it talks about what to eat, how much to eat, how often to eat, which are important questions to answer. So what can you do for mastery right now? Right. In my Heart Health Academy, I go into a lot deeper tips about what to do to make sure that it's evidence-based, but this is a really, really good tip. So in order to take action with mastery is to look at your plate and follow, this is called the plate method or plate model. And what it does is it splits it up into three components. So you split it in half. Half of it is, we have our vegetables and fruit, lots of color there. Then a quarter of our plate would be whole grains, and then a quarter of our plate would be proteins. And you can see the proteins aren't just animal proteins, but proteins from plants as well as dairy. So that is what we can try to make sure we're doing for at least lunch and dinner, if not breakfast. Just harder to think about this with breakfast, but I do have some great recipes and tips in the Heart Health Academy um, to implement this. And even challenge you right now to think about what time is it? It's 12 Eastern time. So you maybe probably had breakfast, or you can think about maybe your dinner from last night. Think about the plate. Did this model match your dinner from last night? And if not, how can you change your dinner from last night to help you get to these proportions? Because when we get to these proportions, we're more likely to follow that Mediterranean diet pattern, which has that evidence behind it to help us prevent a cardiac event, either primary or secondary. And yeah, so all of the strategies in the Heart Health Academy does help you increase your veggies, right, with tasty recipes, and ways to have them available and accessible, uh, and make sure that they're affordable as well, because I know that's a big right now in food affordability is huge. And I wanted to actually show you one of my past participants in the Heart Health Academy. She was working on lowering her cholesterol with food for the past 2 years before she saw me. Okay. And her cholesterol did lower a bit, but her doctor did suggest, you have some time to work on lifestyle and then we'll start medication. And it didn't go down enough to go on or to not go on medication. And when I talked to her a little bit more, it was instead of actually eating the foods to lower her cholesterol, she was spending the majority of her free time, looking up information, understanding what was the most accurate information out there, saving recipes, scrolling Instagram, looking on Pinterest to find things that will be helpful to implement. But all of that work took so much of her time that when she actually got time to implement it, it was, there wasn't maybe enough time to implement it, I think was the biggest barrier. And she didn't get into spending all of her free time researching the latest heart healthy trends because she had lots of time and she wanted a new hobby, but she wanted to do the right thing for herself. And so that's why she wanted to find what was the actual evidence. And because there's so much misleading and conflicting information out there, she had to spend a lot of her time to really understand what was the most accurate information and what she should be doing. And she knew she had all the information on her fingertips. She knew she could do it by herself, but honestly, it took so much energy to figure it out. It was hard for her to implement it. And every time she came across something new, she would say, like, "What if maybe information that said you can't eat red meat?" And then she would say to herself, "Oh, well, if I can't eat red meat, how will my husband ever agree to this heart healthy eating plan?" And that kind of made her not implement it, right? It was more of a fixed mindset and affected her growth in implementing the things. Same with, perhaps eating more plant foods. Or she was like, well, how will my kids get on board with this way of eating? I don't want to be making two different meals or three different meals each night. So I just, I'll wait till next week and figure out how I'm going to do that. And so on and so on and so on. So anyway, she did join the Heart Health Academy. In 6 weeks, she was able to start confidential or yeah, being confident in adding heart healthy foods. And that's what we do in the Heart Health Academy is we go through these specific foods that we need to eat more of. We understand why we need them. There's recipes and opportunities to talk to one another about what you do, what others do to actually eat these foods, how to eat them, how other families like to eat them, and then you have the opportunity to just go ahead and implement it that week. So I provide you with all of the information so that you can just go ahead and do that. So that's mastery. So then remember, we had 3 M's in my framework: mastery. Second one is mindfulness. So what is it? Mindfulness isn't about what we're eating or how much. It's actually about how we eat, because that is as important as what we're eating. And I think this is being talked about more and more, which is fantastic, but it's super important. It keeps you in the present, and it helps during this mindfulness, it really helps you to become more intuitive by practicing these mindfulness exercises that we teach in the Heart Health Academy. And I don't know if you've been around a young child recently, but they are the best intuitive eaters around. So I know my children, 2 and 4, ages 2 and 4, they love certain foods like peanut butter and jam. Absolutely love it. I gave them a peanut butter and jam sandwich for lunch over the weekend, and they left 2 bites on their plate. And that's because they are practicing intuitive eating, which means they know when they're full or when they've had enough. But when we look at an adult, think about a food that you really enjoy. Maybe it's not peanut butter and jelly, but maybe it's, I don't know, something else. But oftentimes we're eating to finish our plate, right? We're not eating based on our internal signals saying, oh, we've had enough, or we're full. And that's what intuitive eating is all about. And that's what we practice in this mindfulness part of the framework, because it is super important to really understand and understand how we're eating. So if we are eating in front of a screen, whether it's TV or your phone, and we're not really paying attention to what our body's talking to us or telling us through these intuitive eating signals, then it's harder for us to regulate. So that's what we get into a little bit more, what these signals are, how we can listen to them a little bit more, and how we can use them. Because even though we may not be practicing intuitive eating like children do, we still have it in us. So it's just a matter of trying to find it again and to listen a little bit more, right? Because our body can't communicate in English, it's communicated in other ways. So it's just understanding what those ways are and listening. So does it help? Why is it important? It does help, absolutely, because you can recognize those physical sensations, emotions about certain foods, thoughts, and this really does help to prevent overeating It helps to manage and reduce stress in the body as well, because sometimes when we have stress, it could make us overeat as well. And it can promote healthier eating habits by not overeating, which then can help to reduce blood pressure, inflammation, and improve nutrient absorption as well. So it does help with overeating, but it also can let us know, if we need a certain nutrient, if we need more protein, more fat, or carbohydrates. So it's a great tool once we understand it. So what can you do now to try it, to take action? Well, slow down. Slow down when you're eating. So slow down before you eat, during eating, and after a meal to observe what's happening, right? So observe what's happening with your breath. Are you eating and you're rushed? Um, are you chewing well? Can you tune into your senses? What does the texture, the smell, the different flavors, how does it look on your plate, right? Especially if you're doing half the plate as vegetables and fruit, lots of color there, very visually appetizing. So think about all these things that play a role. What does your tablescape look like? That can also play a role in mindful eating. So something to try out, and it's just observing, right? No judgment about what's happening. It's just observing and then trying to do something different. And Jackie was another member of our Heart Health Academy, had tried many diets in the past, and she was successful at losing weight, which most people are successful when they try a diet. But then you get off the wagon, right, so to speak, and you gain the weight back. Usually you don't just gain the weight back, you gain more weight back. So I hear that all too often, and that's just how our body kind of adapts to a restricted diet. We lower our metabolism, and then when we go back to eating the way we ate before, we're eating more, and then we're going to gain more weight. So she came to me because she wanted to be healthier. She wanted more energy. She wanted to stop having Weight Watchers points control her life. And that's exactly what I want for you too, is to not have food control your life, right? I want it to be a natural part of life, to eat what you love, and we can get you there through mindful eating. And Jackie wanted to lose weight because that's what her doctor asked her to do, right? And I'm sure that's also common. Something common I hear is the doctor told me to lose 5 to 10 pounds. And we can do that through this mindfulness. And in fact, it's more effective and more sustainable. So she said, I don't want to try another diet, but maybe I'll finally lose the weight trying this, intuitive eating approach when I talked to her about it. So she jumped in, enrolled in the Heart Health Academy. And she tried to incorporate mindfulness and quickly realized that it was a different approach than what she expected. She was shifting the way she thought about food, changed her relationship with food and her relationship with her body and her life. Pretty powerful, I think. She learned that eating for heart health was more than just focusing on what she ate, how much she ate, when she ate, but it was also about self-love, self-worth, self-trust, self-compassion, because there's a lot more to changing health behaviors than just focusing on what you eat. This is huge. Health behaviors are so difficult to change in the long term, but we have to change our mindset as well. And that's where this mindfulness piece comes in. So really important part of the framework. Then the last part of the framework is monitoring. So the last M, monitoring. We've implemented, what we need to eat, how to eat, and now we want to keep those changes going. So we know success isn't linear. So it's important to regularly check in, assess our actions, our habits to ensure consistency and progress towards our goal. So we want to ensure that these positive habits that we've learned are maintained, and negative behaviors, once they creep back up, they're identified and corrected. So it's beyond the short term, and we want to focus on what's going to happen long term. And that's how I help you to do that with some tools and techniques. And, we talk about, or how does it help? Well, we discuss what to do when you get stuck. or when life gets in the way, right? Like stress usually comes up in some kind of way. Life isn't the same every single day or every single month. Usually something different happens and our routine and habits get shifted. So it's important to still have some tools in our toolbox to still eat those heart healthy nutrients to support our blood vessels and our heart, to strengthen our heart in order to lower our blood cholesterol levels and our blood pressure. We'll learn some tracking, um, how to track habits and utilize journals, apps, just for feedback mechanisms. It's not something that you have to do every day. It's not all encompassing. It's little things here and there to check in, to see where you are, and to make those little tweaks, because those little tweaks are so sustainable. So it's all about increasing that self-awareness and responsibility, right? So with me in the Heart Health Academy, it's 6 weeks and you get that accountability. But then once you are discharged from the Heart Health Academy, I want you to still have those skills in order to continue. So this is what the monitoring does to set you up. So how can you take action with monitoring? Well, I would invite you to write a basic food diary. There's lots of mobile tracking apps, and it's not something you have to do every day, but you just do, one day and check to see where you're at, and maybe compare yourself to that plate method that I showed you at the beginning, or maybe in the middle of the presentation, to see how many of those food groups you are eating, and maybe you can increase them or restrict them. So it's an awareness building activity that will help you to stay on track with your goals. And this is Jane. Jane said she was so ready to change her diet after her doctor told her she will need to lose weight in 6 months, or she's going to have to start medications to control her blood pressure at the next follow-up visit. She wanted to lose weight and keep it off for the long term, but she also wanted to eat the things that she loved. She said, I want to eat healthy, but I also want to eat pizza and pasta. I don't want to give those things up. And neither do I. So I don't give up those things, and I don't want you to give those up either, right? I don't blame her for wanting these things, and I don't want anyone to have to restrict some of these foods that bring you joy and pleasure. So in the Heart Health Academy, I showed her how feeling good and losing weight is about simple changes and things that work for her and her family, because everybody wants pizza night. And it doesn't mean you have to change everything in your day. It's about small tweaks, doable shifts, and the majority of your eating pattern, following it in a certain way. And then there's room for this, celebratory events. Like in Canada, we just had Thanksgiving weekend. So things like that. A lot of food is related to celebration. So I think that was it. So to recap, the one thing we need to do to prevent a heart attack by eating the foods we love is to eat more plants. Then we talked about the 3 mistakes, making sure that we're not restricting sodium, that we're eating at regular times, and we're including protein at each meal. And then we talked about the plan. How are you going to get there? Mastery, evidence-based information, mindfulness, talking about how to eat, how you're eating, and then the monitoring, how to keep up these positive, healthy habits that you've created. So at this point, you have 2 choices. You can take what you learned and try it and go on your own, or you can let me guide you and support you in every step of the way. I know you're here today because you want to start seeing results. You've tried going at it alone and it hasn't worked. Or maybe it has worked, but it hasn't worked to the amount that you wish. You want to prevent a heart attack without restricting the foods you love. You want to say goodbye to eliminating the foods that bring you joy and that bring your family joy. You want to prevent a heart attack so you can live a happy, healthy life. So today is the day. I want that for you too. So I know at this point you're probably thinking, well, will this really work? You've tried so many programs. How will this be different? And if me and my past clients can do this following this framework, then so can you. And that's why it's different, because people have done it and so can you. So if you're ready to say goodbye to heart disease, then I'd like to introduce you to the Heart Health Academy. The benefits of joining the Heart Health Academy is that you can wake up with energy to start your day. These are actual things that individuals who have been in the Heart Health Academy have said, okay? They don't waste any more time meal planning. They know the answer to what's for dinner tonight. They have confidence that they're eating the right foods to prevent a heart attack. They eat the foods they like without restriction. They have lower cholesterol and blood pressure. They've prevented a heart attack, living a longer, healthier life, and enjoying life again. Some unexpected benefits. These were also taken straight from the evaluations from last cohort. So after 1 week of the Heart Health Academy, you'll be feeling confident in your food choices for heart health, eating more and eating more vegetables. So having half that plate of veggies was a big win for a lot of individuals, because it's hard to do. We know that we need to eat more vegetables, but how do we do it? And that's where a lot of meal plans and recipes come in with this Heart Health Academy. After 2 weeks, individuals said that they started feeling more energetic because they're eating better foods for them. After 3 weeks, we limit that red processed meats, but still include those proteins in our meals and our snacks. So again, lots of recipes to help with that. After 4 weeks, you go from sometimes eating without guilt to always eating without guilt. So individuals in the Heart Health Academy were on past diets. Weight Watchers was one of them for sure. And they've kind of been able to look at food differently, have that different relationship with food, right? And then been able to eat for enjoyment without guilt, right? I'm sure you've been there before, eating something, oh, I know I shouldn't be eating this. And that doesn't make you feel good, right? If you're going to enjoy it, if you're going to eat something, enjoy it. I think it's so important. After 5 weeks, you'll go from a fair quality of life to a good quality of life. And after 6 weeks, you'll notice an overall improvement in health, all while feeling you have sufficient time to plan, purchase, prepare, and eat well through the meal planning strategies and easy to execute recipes. So here's exactly what you'll get in the Heart Health Academy. I'll look through each of them individually. So 6 weeks of coaching. So it's a group coaching call, Zoom call with me. So it's a live call. If you can't make the live call, it will be recorded. You can, submit questions ahead of time, and we can answer those questions live for you. This helps you to never feel alone or confused, and you get the support from the group members who are going through the exact same thing as you. You can discover exactly what you need to eat for heart health and my secret sauce ingredient for heart health, heart attack prevention. Learn from others going through similar situations. This was a big win from a lot of the individuals in the last Heart Health Academy. Learning from others was huge, right? Other people are going through a similar thing than you, and you can talk to them about it, and it makes you feel better about your situation. It can keep you accountable to your goals, and you get your personal questions answered. So that's a value of $1,400 Canadian. Then there's also 6 weekly meal plans with grocery lists. So that's all done for you. It's all on through email. I'll send you a meal plan that looks like the one that's on the computer, and then you can print it out with a grocery list, and then each recipe kind of looks like this. So 6 weeks, and they're all budget friendly, because it helps to, having a plan helps to prevent those impulsive purchases, reduce food wastes, and it's not expensive food that I'm putting on these meal plans. Common foods that you definitely will see in the grocery stores around you. It promotes balanced nutrition, so helping you follow that plate method, and that stress reduction of knowing what to serve for dinner for your family. I know sometimes that question of what's for dinner tonight can be very stressful, so that can help reduce your stress. It helps promote variety in your diet with different recipes, but also the recipes do have options for different flavors. within the recipe as well. So it helps with individual preferences, and you can try different things that maybe you haven't tried in the past. And it's consistent with heart healthy eating guidelines. And then it also has an online resource library. So you can see it here. It's videos by me on demand. So whenever is convenient for you, it provides some flexibility and convenience to fit any schedule. Over 18 videos. The videos are around 20 to 30 minutes, I think. So maybe a little longer than that, but lots of information to be had. That's all based on evidence. That's trustworthy from a registered dietitian, so you don't have to be frustrated with that misinformation. And if you have questions about it, I'm there to answer them. It has diverse content. I tried to make it visually engaging with some graphs for those visual learners, and you can rewatch it as needed. And then if you sign up within the next 72 hours, you get bonuses. So the one bonus I'm throwing in for this round, this cohort round, is a food diary review. So it's a great tracking tool that I would ask you to do at the beginning of our time together and at the end. And I would provide an analysis that looks like this. So it helps give you like a visual of green obviously means you're in the right area. Yellow is where you need improvement. And red would be maybe you're over consuming that. And so it's an expert analysis with specific nutrient compositions that are directly related to heart health. It can help you detect nutritional gaps. It also provides some behavioral insights as well when you start to track things. So that's beneficial as well. Maybe you notice at night you're snacking more than you thought, or maybe you're eating before or while you're making a meal. I know some of those things have come up in the past. And then, of course, it can keep you motivated because you have a goal in mind when you have it all visually there for you. You also get the recipe bundle with over 200 recipes. So this is on top of the 6 weekly menu plans. So I've done these 5 booklets. Yeah. So it's based on different foods that are really beneficial for our heart. So things like beans and legumes, nuts and seeds, fish, vegetables, and then whole grains. So lots of recipes there. Again, nutritionally balanced, easy to prepare, lots of different flavors, new techniques to try, and can be adaptable and modified according to your family's needs. And then the last bonus I'm throwing in is this heart healthy eating guide and eating out guide, sorry, because I know people want to eat out, right? You're on the move a lot, and it doesn't always go as planned that we have time to eat at home. So we have a nice handout there. It's a guide more so, where there's a handout that tells you kind of what to look for, but then there's also exact examples what you should do in a rush so that you're not tempted. When you get there, you have a plan, you know what to eat, and you can have that social enjoyment without compromising your heart health, so you can still stay on track. So what's the investment? Well, if sold individually, all of this together would cost $3,700, but I'm not going to charge that. I'm not going to make you charge that. I'm not even going to make you charge half of that. So the program with the bonuses will just be $697 Canadian for the 6 weeks. And I can do a payment plan of $349 Canadian per month because it is a 6-week program. So you can divide that over 2 months. To lock in this price and claim those bonuses, because those bonuses are only for 72 hours, all you need to do is click the link in the email that I'll be sending out after this class. I'll send out the recording, but I'll also send out the link to the page, the registration page. So once you click the link, I'll have some more information on the registration page, some of it that I've already covered today, but some of more details, I guess, if you're interested. And yeah, you click the link, you sign up, you get an email from me, and classes start next week. So we are starting next Tuesday, and the group classes or group calls will be at 12 p.m. Eastern time. So yeah, we'll run for 6 weeks from that on. And I'm even going to throw in some unlimited email support in between our weekly calls, just in case there's something in between our calls that you have questions about and you need my support. So I can actually do that as well for this cohort. Something that was requested last time that I'm going to try out this time. there are limited spaces. I'm limiting it to 6 people. So it's first come, first serve. And then once the spaces are full, it will be closed for enrollment. I did keep it to 6 individuals last time, and I thought it was a really nice group of people who really got to get to know each other well and had enough time for everybody as well. So it's for 6 people. And as I said, bonuses are only available for 72 hours. So it's time to act now. And I want you to get your best heart health, to have all those years of confidence going forward of what to eat for heart health. So thank you very much for attending today. I really hope you got something out of it. I really am grateful for the support that everyone has shown me in my heart health community. You guys are great, and I know that you are all doing things to support your heart health now. So keep up the great work, and I hope that I can help continue to support you in any way possible. So if you have questions, you can drop it in the chat. The cost is not in US dollars, it's in Canadian dollars. Oh, so what is the cost in US dollars? Yeah, $520 would probably be, yeah, that's correct. I eat about 8 times a day as I have an eating disorder, but I've started journaling my diet to identify binges. Perfect. That's amazing. And that's where the journaling comes in. So thanks for sharing. The journaling and that awareness piece is huge. And from there, you can then put in some strategies to tackle what you've identified. So that's great. Thanks for sharing. Other questions? Anything else? I don't see anything else in the chat here. Or you can unmute yourself. Here we go. What about soy products and estrogen? Yeah, really good question. It was something we do cover. I have a whole component for women's health in the Heart Health Academy, and another component about healthy aging, which cover these soy products. But basically, the message is so the recent message is that if you've had estrogen positive breast cancer, that's when you need to limit your soy intake. But otherwise, soy can actually prevent breast cancer. And there's a lot of evidence with the Asian culture, with the amount of soy that they eat and their low risk of breast cancer as a result. So that's the latest that I've read about soy products. So I know it has had some fear mongering in the media about soy, but that's not necessarily the case. Of course, I don't know your personal background, so this is just general information. Does your insurance company cover the cost? So yeah, if you have private health insurance in Canada, it definitely can. I can provide an insurance receipt for that, and you can submit that to your health insurance. It has been like the last session, there was an individual who did submit it for their private health insurance and was covered. For soy, should it be non-GMO organic? And yes, that is something that I do recommend, non-GMO organic. Wonderful. Okay, well, it's 1 o'clock exactly, so I think I'll end there. But you have my email, always available by email. I'd love to hear from you. And I hope I hope you found some value in today's talk. And let me know what you thought about it too. If you want me to do another similar kind of talk as well, I'd love to hear from you. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of the day. Thanks again for joining.